I'm Mitch. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Hard Intentions. Uh, I'm here today. A few people asked me about my artwork and say a few things about it. Behind me you see some of the artwork I did while I was in prison. Here I have a painting I did. A couple guys riding down the highway, and then this painting here is a friend of mine did. I got him into artwork. Chuck, he's doing Life Without. This is another motorcycle painting I did, and then I see this one back here. It's another painting I did. I like doing motorcycle paintings, but I've done all types of paintings. You know, my career in prison and incarceration started when I was young. You know, incorrigible type. I was in youth authority when I was 12 or 13. I went to youth authority for a while, so I got into tattooing. Guys were hand plucking tattoos, you know, with a needle in the end of a toothbrush wrapped out with string, and we were making our own ink out of cigarette ashes and chest pieces and paint and stuff like that. And you know, later on I graduated up to tattoo machines, real ink, and I tattooed a little bit when I was on the street before I got locked up, before I picked up a 15 to life term. While I was in prison for 38 years, I got into tattooing, but I also got into drawing my own patterns. I decided, hey, you know, if I'm going to be a tattoo artist, I better learn how to tattoo. I better learn how to do art as well. You can't just call yourself an artist, you know, if you can't draw and paint and all that other stuff. So I started drawing my own tattoo patterns. And then I would start drawing them onto cards and stuff like that with pencils, and then colored pencils, pastels, stuff like that, you know. Then later on, you know, I got pretty good tattooing, and I got to the point where I tattoo a couple guys on the yard, you know, and next thing you know, the whole yard wanted you to tattoo on them. So I got kind of burned out on tattooing, especially once they took the ink away, our access to getting ink. We had to make our own ink. Yeah, I got kind of burned out on it. I did a few homeboys here and there, but I focused more on painting. I met a guy in a day room in Donovan prison down in San Diego, and Danny Rivera, and he was a older Mexican cat. He was cool. He had done a term before, came back, he had a 15 to life term, and he would paint in the day room, and I'd watch him, and I asked him a lot of questions. He gave me a lot of information and stuff, and eventually he gave me some red, blue, yellow, and white paint, one paintbrush about 3/4 of an inch wide, and a piece of canvas, nice sized piece of canvas. So I thought, all right, you know, he says, hey, this is for you to practice on. So I went out to where I worked in the carpenter shop, and I made a stretcher for it, and I stretched it, you know, and came back, and he goes, man, you don't got to do that. That's just for you to practice on. And I painted an owl, you know, bird, and showed it to him. He says, man, I couldn't have done a better job myself. That's amazing, you know. But because of my tattooing and drawing skills I developed over years, the light-dark concept is, you know, your values, how light something is, how dark something is. I just applied it to color. Did all right. So from '93 on, I started painting, and because they did away with the hobby shops where you used to be able to work with wood, jewelry, and all that, and they just limited the prisons down to sell hobby. And anyway, the art was kind of a blessing and a curse. It helped me get away from the tattooing. I never really made a lot of money at it in prison, but it kept me busy. And then I got transferred back to a level 4 prison in '96, and I went to Corcoran, and there's no cell hobby at all there. I was like, man, you know, so I just got a bunch of colored pencils, some Bristol paper I used to draw, and so it was kind of a curse, you know. Then I went to Lancaster prison, and I worked in Arts and Corrections, where that was a program where I would do artwork, and they would take it and auction it off every year and give the money to the Children's Center of Antelope Valley. And where they help abused children and their mothers. And also I would assist the art teachers that came in with class to teach guys how to draw and paint and such. And then later on, we lost our budget to hire artists to come in and be teachers. So I worked a deal with my supervisor in the Arts and Corrections program, and where if guys went through an art class, I could bring them in and have them continue learning and doing artwork for the program, which also got donated. And I set up a thing where every couple paintings they do, they could keep one and donate one to the program. It was pretty cool. But every few years they transfer you around prison, and from prison to prison. Depends, your custody level goes down, whatever. And the system got down to where they didn't want any type of hobby. So here I am, I developed these art skills over the years, and I couldn't use them. I got to places where I went 2-3 years where I couldn't order any paint, brushes, or anything. And it's kind of frustrating. It really is. Because art was an outlet for me. It opened doors for me. When I worked in Arts and Corrections, I did a couple articles in the LA Times, the Antelope Valley Press, stuff like that. One year we raised like $5,000, pretty much all my art. Then one year we raised $9,000, where other guys contributed. All that money went to the Children's Center, and we got a lot of kudos from staff. I got to interact with people in the program where I was teaching them different art skills, and like I said, open doors with other people, open doors, and for you, myself personally, it opened doors. Art's challenging. It teaches you how to think, how to solve problems, all that stuff, and it's pretty. When I'm painting, put me in another world. It was great stuff. So to have it taken away, it was very frustrating. Very frustrating. The last few years of my prison term, they did have hobby in the prison I was in, but they made it really difficult. I mean, you could only order supplies once every 3 months, and you were limited to a certain amount of money you could spend. And you could spend a couple. I got tubes of paint cost $100. Over the years, and so art supplies cost a lot of money. So to have your supplies limited to a certain amount of money, it was difficult. So here I am out in the world. I've got my website, hardintentions.com, where this is one of my t-shirt patterns I did when I was inside prison. Out here it has its challenges. I am on parole. I have this t-shirt company, and I also sell prints of my artwork, and I go to different events, motorcycle swap meets, such, and I have to go through the parole to get a travel pass to go outside of a 50-mile radius. So to go to Ventura, I asked to go to Ventura to Dave Man Chopper Fest, and they denied me 2 years in a row, saying that motorcycle clubs were there and they were having problems and there was tension, and they didn't want me to jeopardize my liberty, meaning I have no gang associations as part of my parole. Well, my parole officer supervisor actually asked me, what are you going to do if a guy in a motorcycle club wants to buy a t-shirt from you? Well, the bottom line is, if someone wants to buy a t-shirt from me, that's not association. That's it's an involuntary contact, bottom line. And it's not an association. Association would be hanging out with guys, riding motorcycles with them, drinking beer with them, whatever. Selling a t-shirt to somebody's not a big deal. And whatever their problems are amongst them, it's not my problem. I was going to go to the event and sell shirts and art. And so I got denied 2 years in a row. It was an extreme precaution on their behalf. And I think part of it was just saying no because they don't understand certain cultures, being one, the motorcycle culture. So it was frustrating. And, at first I was mad, then I was kind of sad, and then I moved on. But that's something I learned in prison, frustration you got to work with that. It's feeling you got to deal with, right? Uh, my artwork helps me work through it, and I'll tell you what, all the positive support I got on my Instagram really helped me deal with it. I mean, I just got kudos from people, man, saying, hey, it's too bad, but just keep pressing forward. And that's what I'm doing. So the struggle I had inside prison, it continues out here. And I imagine even once I'm off parole, I'm going to have challenges, right? And it's going to be frustrating. And so my point is this, especially for all you young guys, you know, art's my outlet, and it's also my business as far as my website is concerned. It's something I strive for years. I wanted a t-shirt business, and I wanted to sell prints of my motorcycle paintings. This particular piece, because people did ask me about my art, I did right before I left. So, get a little light on that. A little glare. It's called Rebel Run. You know? And I got prints of this, small, but I'm going to get some bigger ones later on. And I'll be selling prints of this full size hopefully in the future. Right now we have smaller ones. It's an acrylic painting. You know, for you young guys, man, that are struggling out here in the world, I just want to tell you that, you know, whatever your frustrations are, whatever troubles you got, they're going to pass. So don't make the wrong decisions. It's going to take you down a road that's going to take you a lot longer to get back on track. Whatever your frustrations are, just figure it out, man. Don't be afraid to ask questions and figure out the answers, you know. I mean, whatever frustration you have, whatever problem you have, you're going to have several options. So don't just jump at the easiest one, right? The easiest one is just to get pissed off, say fuck it, and go down the rabbit hole of negative behavior. You know, and there will be people who encourage you to do that. My encouragement is to think about shit and make the right decision, so you don't end up doing 38 years in prison like I did. You know, I went to prison when I was 17, man, so, you know, I was 56, almost 57 when I got out. So, you know, I wasted a lot of time in prison. I tried not to waste it. You know, doing the artwork is one example of what I did. Not wasting time, trying to make positive use of the time. Also, you know, I got a trade, milling, cabinet, plumbing, stuff like that. Look, there's going to be people that encourage you to do negative shit, and it's going to have a negative impact on your life that could take years for you to get out from underneath it. And the positive people who have positive input in your life are going to probably be a smaller number than those giving you a negative input. So you're going to have to recognize who they are and make the right decision, man. You know, I struggled for years just to stay on track. I was living in a negative environment where people are stabbing and killing people, people are ripping people off, you know, focused on drugs and gangs and who's cool and who's not. And, you know, I had to keep my head above water and do my own thing and still function within the prison setting. It wasn't easy, but I did it, and I'm out now. So what I'm telling you is, you're out here. Problems you face out here in the world seem big. They're not going to be that big. Make the right decisions, man. Things will work out. You know, take a breath and think about things, and go to that person you know. It's going to have a positive impact on you. I don't really have a lot more to say. What I will say is that if you guys have questions, I will answer them.
Put them in the comment section.
Yeah, put them in the comment section. My wife is my support, my rock, and she views all the comments you guys make with me. She's my tech support. I'm not real computer savvy. So if you have any comments, questions, ask, and I'll answer them. And I plan on doing some interviews in the future with guys who are ex-retired prison guards who are the guy I'm thinking of was also pretty good to us from prison. Uh, you know, he did his job, but he treated us with respect, allowed us our dignity, and some other guys I did time with. And I might do a little art instruction videos, and yeah, I hope this channel turns into something that you guys appreciate and like. That's my goal. It's not just going to be about prison, gory stories about prison, because you know, prison, there's some gory stories about it, but it's not all negative and kill gangs and drugs. There's some positive things that went on in there, and I'm carrying them on out here in the world, so I'm going to share some of that with you guys as I move along. I'll give you a little bit of my history, and I appreciate you all. I appreciate you for subscribing, logging on, watching my videos, and you guys have a great night, great day, whatever time of day it is where you're at, and thank you very much.